Believe it or not, I have more red meat today than I did before my heart attack. But it's moderation.
And Dave Thomas still had more work to do. Hillary Clinton brought him back to the White House.
Businesses can make it easier for their employees to adopt a child, and I want to single out Dave Thomas of Wendy's, who has led the way in showing all of us how that can be done.
Brin and Page were convinced they could do better. They looked at the construction of web pages, at the clickable buttons which link one page to another. Then they looked at the billions of clickable links crisscrossing cyberspace, and they discovered a pattern. The more authoritative, more popular sites all had lots of incoming links.
Ultimately, what we discovered is that you could take the patterns that you found in all of the world's knowledge and use that to create a better search engine.
And that's exactly what they did. They wrote a search engine program which used the number of incoming links, along with lots of other variables, to identify which web pages were most relevant for each query. But finding computers to run the program was a problem. The machines that ran existing search engines were very expensive.
So they had to figure out how to make do with what they had, which was a lot of personal computers, cheap stuff that was laying around. And they were able to go and put these things together.
They took a bunch of computer hard drives and slaved them together. To save money, they built a cabinet out of children's Legos. The name was supposed to be Googol, G-O-O-G-O-L, the mathematical term for 1 followed by 100 zeros. But
well, it was before the Google spell checker existed. I'll say that.
Soon, the number of queries on Google became more than Brin and Page's computers could handle. Encouraged by the reception Google got at Stanford, Brin and Page began looking for partners who wanted to license their technology.
Larry has always been motivated, and Sergey too, really, by wanting to do something that's useful for the world. They both grew up in academic families. Making a lot of money wasn't what was important. It was learning, knowledge, teaching. And I think from the beginning, there wasn't a drive of what's the most profitable thing to do. There was really what's the way that people can get the most information.
But the world outside Stanford didn't share Brin and Page's idealism.
They said, this is a great idea technologically. But from the business point of view, at that time, the wisdom was search engines weren't where it was at. They were a technical thing. They were going to be part of the woodwork, part of the infrastructure.
In other words, you couldn't make money off of them. The big internet moneymakers were all portals, sites with lots of services and advertising, like Yahoo and America Online. Unable to license their invention, the two young search engineers went looking for investors to start their own company. They found Andy Bechtolsheim, founder of Sun Computing.
Andy whipped out his checkbook and on the hood of his car wrote a check to Larry and Sergey for $100,000 and said, well, what do I write it out? What do I make the check out to? And they said, well, we're thinking of calling the project Google, so he wrote it out to Google, and that forced them to incorporate.
Putting their PhD plans on hold, Brin and Page set up shop in a friend's home.
We thought, well, they'll probably just be there during the day while we're at work and we won't notice. But they were actually there 24 hours a day, all the time.
As Page and Brin toiled, the number of queries rose to 10,000 a day, and the press began to take notice. Articles praising Google appeared in newspapers and magazines. PC Magazine named Google one of its top 100 websites.
They ultimately secured $25 million in funding from two of the biggest names in venture capital. And when that happened, that's when the greater world first got an inkling that this might be an important company.
Funding in hand, still battling enormous odds, Brin and Page moved their fledgling company into spacious new quarters.
Sergey and Larry have all the advantages of youth. They think that basically they're doing something terrific and they're really out to change the world, to use Steve Jobs' phraseology.
In 1999, one-year-old Google had 39 employees and was receiving 3 million queries a day. A year later, queries were up to 60 million a day. During that time, Brin and Page introduced advertising on their search pages and signed partnership deals extending Google's reach to Italy, the United Kingdom, Japan, and China. The company was clearly on a roll. To meet demand, Brin and Page hired hundreds of new employees, many PhDs, the best and the brightest.
In addition to just being bright, great at their job, accomplished, we want people who are going to fit the Google culture. And we have a very open, free atmosphere here. People have lots of fun. They're excited about their work, and they work together a lot.
Part think tank, part playground. Google's headquarters were a reflection of that culture.
When we started Google, we started it to be the kind of place basically that we would like to hang out in, we being, computer science grad students. And so, we had all this free food.
Here, you just walk in, you grab some healthy food. You can sit and chat with your colleagues, talk about all kinds of work projects, learn about new things.
It's a place where you can meet over a game of pool and discuss some ideas there. And so we find that this kind of environment, is very creative.
Google's creative environment has given birth to all sorts of new ideas. A search engine for images, one for catalogs, for comparing prices on consumer products, for news groups, news reports, and much more. While adding all the new bells and whistles, Brin and Page increased the power of their search engine, sending it deeper and deeper into cyberspace. So, how does Google work? Why is it so successful? Google's search for answers begins, as do many great journeys of discovery, with a robot explorer heading deep into the unknown. In Google's case, the unknown is cyberspace. The Explorer, a computer program Brin and Page call Googlebot. Googlebot crisscrosses cyberspace at warp speed. Its mission, to find every website, to copy every web page.
So it goes and looks at each page and says, I found a new website, Goldmine, and it'll go over there and download those pages and find out if it links to anything that it hasn't seen before. And this way, it can span the whole world.
Many of Google's employees are now millionaires as a result of the stock sale. That creates other problems.
I think as a result, Google and Larry and Sergey are going to have to deal with turnover at Google in a way that they've never had to deal with before.
And then, of course, there's the competition. Page and Brin have proven that search can be extremely profitable. Now, everyone is gunning for them. Yahoo has been buying up other search engines and adding services. With powerful Microsoft now flexing its muscles, many experts expect the beginning of an internet search war.
We definitely have a new generation of competitors, and it's something that we take seriously. Microsoft and Yahoo are both very strong companies.
To stay ahead of the competition, Google continues to add new sparkle to its growing list of services. Google Desktop searches a computer's hard drive, just as Google searches the internet. Google Print allows users to search current books for specific information. The purchase of Keyhole Corporation allows users, for a fee, to search satellite and aerial images of the Earth's surface.
What Google wants to be, and I think Larry and Sergey would acknowledge that they're only a part of the way there, is to be the largest repository of information in the world.
With about 8 billion documents and images stored in their index, the web's preeminent librarians are well on their way.
Anything that you don't develop is a garden left untended, so to speak. So there are a lot of really interesting next generation things that we're working hard to make possible.